Hello and welcome to the first real episode of the IKDU Unity tutorial series. In this video, I'm going to cover the basics of the Unity editor. I'm going to be using a test scene I've set up, which can be downloaded from the link in the description. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. When you start Unity for the first time, it's going to look something like this. So let's start on the left. This leftmost panel is called the scene hierarchy. The hierarchy shows all the objects inside the currently active scene, which can be seen on the top of the panel. You can right-click inside the hierarchy to create new objects inside the current scene. One important thing to note is that objects inherit their position relative to their parents. So this camera's position is relative to the player object. This means that if I move the player, I also move the camera and any other child objects. Next, we'll look at the viewport. The viewport shows the current scene. You can interact with the viewport using your mouse and the middle mouse button to slide, right-click to rotate, and WAS and D to move the camera. You can also left-click on objects in the viewport to select them. Once selected, you can perform three different basic operations. Press W to enable the Move tool, press E to enable the Rotation tool, and press R to be able to scale the object. Now let's look just below the viewport. Here we can see the project file system. Here two folders are shown, which is the assets and the packages folder. Packages shouldn't be touched unless you know what you're doing, but essentially it gives you an overview of any installed packages that are available in your project. The asset folder is your primary folder for all the files your program is going to use. Here I've set it up with some easy to understand categories. You can make your own system to organize the files however you like. Next to the project panel, you might also be able to see the console. This is the built-in Unity console, and any errors or messages will be output here. So if anything goes wrong, Unity will tell us about it using this console. Lastly, we're going to take a look at the inspector, which by default is situated to the right of the viewport. The inspector shows you information about the currently selected object. For our player prefab, we can see that it has three components: the transform, which all the objects have by default, the character controller, which handles collision and a bunch of other things, and the player controller script, which handles the input from the player to the object. The inspector also allows us to change values of individual components. For example, the player's movement speed or jump height can be changed by changing the values in these fields. We'll go more into depth with how this works behind the scenes in later tutorials in the series. This is all for now. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again for the next one.